Good morning, trading world. Today is May 24th, 2021, and this is my pre-market outlook. Going into today, since last week we've started this bounce, and that's exactly what I think it is. It's a probably a middle term bounce. I'm not going to say short term bounce like it's going to be over with here in the next day or so, and then we're going to go back to a lot of sell side activity. This is just kind of one of those things where when you're in the middle of we're in the middle of momentum change. And not just momentum change on a small level. And I like to think of the different levels as the different price chart time frames that I look at. So we're in the middle of a momentum change starting to go into a larger scale. And right now that's on the daily. So with that momentum change happening or taking place on the daily, we're going to have a lot of back and forth. But if you go back and look at things at a large level time frame, you're going to see that we basically just bounce back and forth in a range for a long period of time. And this is what happens when you're trying to change momentum on such a large scale. With that being said, this week is no different. I see that we continue the bounce back, and in that bounce back we're going to have pullbacks. So today, I'm guessing we start with a pullback, and the levels that I'm looking for are going to be on the downside, to know that we are still just in a pullback and going higher, is that we find support around 416.18 on the SPY, and at least 415.68 on the SPY. That's the exact kind of area that we need to fall between and make that U-turn to go back up to show us as support. I do have the longs winning today at some point. Even though we're probably going to start off backtracking down to the lower levels of support. But that's what I see for today. So, type of day that I'm looking at, we're looking at possibly a uptrend day, or we're going to call it a obtuse range day to the upside. So it could be a range day, but the biggest of the range could actually wind us up back to the top side. So let's go and try to illustrate this in the day planning stage of what could possibly happen today. All right. The move that I'm going to talk about now is the option 2 that I see that could possibly happen, which is a rounded reversal. Option 2 and 3 are going to be very similar in the fact that you're going to experience a all trend up coming from the major portions of the day. But the rounded reversal, one key thing that I see that's usually different with the rounded reversal is that we're going to fire straight up off of the opening bell. There will be no pullback. There will be no trying to fill the gap that happened in the overnight session. We are going to fire and continue straight up, almost parabolic, if you would. And on the rounded reversal day, we'll go up to a point, and usually sometime after lunch, 80% of the time after lunch, maybe between that 1 and 2 o'clock hour, we'll see the exact opposite move that we saw before lunch, undoing all of what happened on that rise up, and usually some of that overnight move as well, to kind of fill that gap. But that's the rounded reversal, where we're going to continue up and reach a point and start to undo everything that happened. And the other key thing to look for on the rounded reversals is that the internals are going to key off quite early on the rounded reversal, because you're going to get basically a parabolic move on price going up. However, internals are going to be diverging from price almost the entire time. After the first 30 minutes or so, you're going to get this kind of downtrend on internals. So that's going to be the item or key thing to look for to find out whether this is the rounded reversal day. All right, option number 3, which I talked about briefly, is the trend day. On the trend day up, it's very similar to the, again, rounded reversal day, where majority of the day is up. However, on the trend day, you do have a couple variations of it, but the main part of a trend day is that we usually get some type of pullback off the opening to try to go back and fill some of the gap to yesterday or the previous close, but it usually fails to get all the way back to that previous close, and then you have that takeoff where majority of the day is pretty much parabolic up. And then usually after lunch or the 2 p.m. hour, you have that kind of fade off where they've expended so much energy, it could be pretty much either flat the rest of the day, or you'll see even a small down tilt after the 2 o'clock or evening session goes into effect. So that is the trend day. And another variation of that that I'm seeing more and more is that sometimes the overnight session can play so hard that we've pretty much seen all of the up momentum for the day. And what will usually happen is that we'll get that pullback and we'll get back up to where we opened up to, but it'll pretty much trade sideways the rest of the day because so much went into that up move overnight that there's so much energy that there's basically no energy left to go higher. And the biggest thing that you'll see on the trend day is that the ADS-PD will be pinned above 300. It could be 300, it could be 350, it could be 400. But the main thing is that you'll see a continuous pin where the ADS-PD is above 300, doesn't drop below 300. So those are the key differences on the trend day. So the things that we're looking for today, the three options are, it's going to be pretty much a range day with a bullish bias to it, where we're going to have two-sided trade, but at the end of the day, we're going to end up higher than where we started. That's pretty much the range day with the bull bias to it. Number 2 is the rounded reversal day. Number 3 is the standard trend up day. It's kind of hard for me to see in a trend up day, even though this is an expiration day and it can happen. But one of those really powerful trend days, it usually happens closer to the first of the month when the new money is being put to work, or the end of the month when people are trying to make these charts pretty. So it could happen, but I don't expect for it to be like a violent trend day where it just shoots to the moon. I could be wrong, but right now that's kind of lower down the totem pole of what I'm expecting. So this is my pre-market outlook for today. Hopes this serves you well. As always, know your risk, and wishing you a profitable trading day. Have a good one.